Good morning, everybody. Kim Martin here with Healthy You, coming at you again live this Wednesday morning. I hope you are doing well. I am super excited about this podcast and look forward to being with you every Wednesday. Lots of times I'm going to have guests. If you tuned in last week, Mary Ardapple is going to be our expert joining us on the second Wednesday of every month. And we will add experts as we go along throughout the series every week. So continue to tune in and join us. So today you got me, and I was excited about this show because I wanted to talk to you about 3 factors that kind of impact your eating behavior that are very, very, very important. But first, just as a reminder of what our show is based upon and what you can expect, I believe that there are 5 components to living a healthy lifestyle. And the first is based off of spiritual and love, and not necessarily in any particular order of these. It really depends on you. But I do believe that living a healthy lifestyle has to start spiritually. It has to start from a place of love so that you will take care of yourself and be inspired to take care of yourself. You have to love yourself enough to live a healthy lifestyle. It cannot come from a place of defeat or a place of I don't like myself or like how I look. It has to come from that place where you love yourself and you want to live healthy. And then, of course, the second is your mind, your behaviors, the discipline, cultivating that mindset that the emotion follows the action. Relationships. My friend Mary Ardapple is going to be joining us and really talking about the relationship with food, and also your support, your coach, your accountability. And then, of course, there's the nutrition and the activity. So today, I wanted to focus a little bit on the nutrition portion and share with you some knowledge that I have and what we use in teaching people how to eat healthy. And one of the first steps in living a healthy lifestyle and learning how to eat, what to eat, is knowing your BMR. And your BMR is your basal metabolic rate, okay? So first, let's start with metabolism. What is metabolism? Well, metabolism is a process. It happens in your body. You can't touch it, feel it, see it. It happens naturally in your body. And if you are breathing, you have a metabolism. So most of us think, oh, I have a sluggish metabolism. You've heard people say that. Maybe you've said it. I've heard women say, I don't even have a metabolism. So a lot of us maybe believe that you don't have a metabolism or that it doesn't work. But that's simply not true. It can't be possible. In order to sustain life, you have to have a metabolism that breaks down the food that you eat and turns it into energy, fuel for your body. So metabolism is a process. It's a process of hormones and enzymes that break down the food that you eat and turns it into fuel for your body or energy for your body. Okay, so that's what metabolism is. It's very important to understand the science behind that and how that works. Secondly, then, if that's metabolism, your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, that's how many calories you're burning personally. Everybody's a little bit different based on your age, based on your height, based on your weight, and based on your activity level. Those factor in your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. How many calories are you burning in a day? So if I ask you that question, how many calories are you burning in a day? I wonder if you know that for sure. You know, when I'm out speaking and I speak about metabolism a lot, I go talk to groups of people and I ask them that question. And usually in a group of about 50, if I'm lucky, there's one person that raises their hand. Now, in the world of MyFitnessPal and our Fitbits, more people are starting to understand their BMR, their basal metabolic rate, and how many calories they're burning. So I got to give credit to MyFitnessPal and Fitbit for that, because that is so, so important. When it comes to eating healthy, you have to know how many calories you're burning in a day. if you don't know how many calories you're burning in a day, you really don't have a foundation, a baseline for even building your meal plans or determining exactly what you should be eating or how much you should be eating. Now, I know there are certain programs out there that say just eat this certain food and you don't have to worry about it. And whether they work or don't work, I don't know. And sometimes they work temporary, but not long term. But what I'm sharing with you today about your BMR, about your basal metabolic rate, and about eating healthy is based off research. It's based off research from Cleveland Clinic. And Cleveland Clinic is the second largest hospital in our country. They're number 2 behind Mayo Clinic. However, they are the number 1 cardiac hospital in our country. They house over 30,000 employees and they do lots of research. And so what I'm teaching is based on research and a very good study and science. Okay, so it's not necessarily my opinion. It's definitely what I teach. It's worked for me. I've lost 70 pounds and have maintained a healthy weight for 10 years now. And it's what I coach with my members at Curves. And on any given day, you can walk in and you'll meet lots of women there who have lost their weight, but not just lost the weight, but have lost the weight and kept it off. That's the key. In fact, science says if you don't keep, you're not really considered successful in losing and maintaining a healthy lifestyle until you have maintained a healthy weight for at least 2 or more years. So we're talking about permanent change, not just temporary, something that you can do for the rest of your life, okay? And so with that, you need to understand how many calories you burn in a day, no matter what program you decide to do, no matter what it is that you believe works for you. It needs to be on the fundamental foundation based on starting out. There are lots of other factors, and we'll talk about some of those today. And then each week we'll talk about more as you join in and tune in. But there are other factors. But the fundamental foundation is how many calories, how much energy do you require in a day to sustain life? And that includes using the denominator of how old you are, how much you weigh, how tall you are, and how active you are. Now, I have a formula to figure your BMR, and we use it at Curves. You can email me at it's kim@ivedecided.org, kim@ivedecided.org. If you want the formula, you can email me. That's easy. You can stop by and see us at Curves. We'll go over it with you anytime at no charge. Or you can simply Google it. And you want to find the Harris-Benedict principle. That's what Fitbit uses, MyFitnessPal. It's what we use on our formula, the sheet that we fill out. It is the most common used formula for figuring BMR, your basal metabolic rate. It was actually created in 1919 by 2 biochemists, Arthur Harris and Francis Benedict, and we still use it today. And so it's pretty accurate. They've made a couple of changes along the way, I understand, but for the most part, it is very, very accurate, and it's what we use to determine. And of course, there's always an exception to the rule. Okay, anytime we talk, there's going to be someone who has a medical condition or takes a certain medication, or maybe you have a thyroid condition that would impact your metabolism, your basal metabolic rate. So there's always exceptions to the rule, but this is just in general, and it gives us a really good idea. Okay, so first and most important thing when it comes to living a healthy lifestyle or your nutrition, eating, to determine what you should eat, you need to understand your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, how much energy do you need in a day, okay? There are a couple of things that impact your basal metabolic rate. And one, of course, as we know, is age. Talk about that one first, because typically that's the one that we can't do much about. No matter how hard we work, We can slow the aging process down, but it's not going to reverse it totally, right? No matter what, we are going to age. We're going to get older. And the biggest factor of aging when it comes to your BMR is losing lean muscle mass. Lean muscle mass is metabolically active. We know that. And so it burns more calories. Now, it's funny, I learned in school when I got certified that 1 pound of lean muscle mass would burn about 50 calories per day extra. And now there's a lot of arguments out there that says, no, that's not true. It's more like 6 or 7 calories per lean pound of muscle. And I'm here to tell you, I've done a little bit of research on that. I even sent an email to Cleveland Clinic, and it's inconclusive. I don't think they really 100% understand it. But regardless if it's 6 or 7 calories or up to 50, the best research I found was about 35 calories. So somewhere in the middle there, lean muscle mass burns more calories. The more muscle mass you have, the higher your basal metabolic rate, your BMR is going to be. So strength training is key to that, all right? And then the second factor that I wanted to talk to you about today when it comes to your eating patterns, your eating behaviors, and it kind of goes along with your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, because this impacts your basal metabolic rate, is the thermic effect of food. So have you ever heard that term before, the thermic effect of food? One of the things that we know, again, this is based off of research from Cleveland Clinic. It's not my opinion. It is what I teach, and it's based off of a program that was designed by Gary Haven, who's the founder of Curves, and researched through Cleveland Clinic. And it shows that we need to eat often, actually about every 2 to 3 hours, a minimum of 5 times a day. So that would be for the average person that works during the day. And if you work overnight, we can adapt that. It's still the same. You just have to adapt your times based on when you work, okay? But just to keep it generalized and to keep it easygoing here and to help you understand it, we're just talking about the average person that works during the day, that wakes up in the morning, eats breakfast, goes to work, and so forth, okay? But you can adjust it based on whatever your schedule is. It all works the same. And just wanted you to know that. But so you need to eat breakfast every single morning, okay? Breakfast is one of the most important things you can do when it comes to living a healthy lifestyle. It's called breakfast for a reason. Break fast. Okay, so when you've been sleeping, assuming you've been sleeping all night for at least 7, 8 hours of sleep a night, you haven't eaten. So you've been fasting, essentially. You haven't eaten anything. So when you wake up in the morning, your sugar, your glucose is going to be low because you've been fasting, right? So anytime you fast, your sugar levels should be balanced or low. So if you can imagine a scale, a line scale, then your sugar level is going to probably be below that because you've been fasting. Now, the longer you go without eating in the morning, or let's say some of us, and this is a bad habit that a lot of people get into, the longer you go during the morning without eating, the lower that level drops. And then when you do eat, it spikes up high and then crashes down. So it causes your insulin and your sugar levels to be out of whack, if you can just imagine that in a graph, if you don't eat breakfast right away. So you start those 5 meals beginning with a breakfast. Now, again, how many calories do you eat? Okay, well, that's going to determine your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, and everybody's going to be a little bit different. So what works for someone else may not work for you. For example, I coach women, and I have some of the ladies that I coach eat 325 calories for breakfast based on their BMR. But then other ladies that I coach, based on their BMR, they're eating 425, 450 calories for breakfast. That's a huge difference. So if you are just trying to do what someone else is doing based on just a generalized eat this for breakfast, eat this for snack, eat this for lunch, it may or may not work for you. So you need to understand your personalized BMR. And then you would know how many calories that you would eat for breakfast. Hopefully that makes sense. So you start those 5 meals with breakfast. And then a couple of hours later, you're going to have a morning snack. And then a couple of hours later, you're going to have lunch. A couple of hours later, you'll have your afternoon snack. And a couple hours later, you will have your dinner. So you're eating about every 2 to 3 hours on average. And the reason why we say that, and I know that if you go and you Google, you're going to get mixed messages. You're going to hear somebody say, no, that's absurd. You can eat whenever you want, whenever you're hungry. Use the hunger mechanism as a guideline. And but I'm telling you this based off of the research from Cleveland Clinic and based off of the science that we now know how important insulin and the role that insulin and keeping those insulin levels balanced out plays a part in making it a little bit easier for you to lose weight if you need to lose weight, or manage a healthy weight if you need to manage a healthy weight. It's called the thermic effect of food. I mentioned that earlier, okay? And the thermic effect of food simply says this: the more you eat, the higher your metabolism is going to be. The more calories your body is naturally going to burn. The less you eat, the lower your metabolism is going to be, the less calories you're going to burn. It truly is. Now, this is my opinion. It truly is, in my opinion, proof that we were created, that we were designed, we were born to live. And the thermic effect of food, to me, shows that very simply. And it really is a survival mechanism. So think about it. If you were stranded on a desert island, and you really, not like a beautiful tropical desert island, not like that, like an island with no food, nothing, you were starving to death. Your body has cells, it has memory. And after a few hours, you start to get hungry, right? Your body's saying, hey, we need some food. Well, there's no food around. So your body starts to respond to that. It gets hungry. And then all of a sudden you get hunger pains. Now, most of us here in our world, in the United States, we don't know what hunger is. I've never been that hungry in my life where I've had severe hunger pains. But from what I understand, it is severe and extremely painful. And that's why it's called hunger pain. So your body responds with hunger pain. And then you don't eat because you don't have food. And so then your body starts to say, hey, if we don't do something, we're going to die. We're going to starve to death, right? That's if your cells could talk. Imagine your cells could talk. That's what they would say. And that thermic effect of food protects your body. So what happens then is your cells start to communicate. Your metabolism, assuming it could talk, says, hey, if I continue burning calories at the rate of which I'm burning them, we're going to die sooner than later. So what happens? Your metabolism says, I need to slow myself down and only burn the number of calories that I absolutely have to have and reserve the rest. So if you are not eating enough or not eating often, you are in a fat storing mode. It's called starvation mode. It is real. It is a reality. It's not my opinion. It really does happen. You're in starvation mode. Your body truly believes that you are not giving it the nutrition that it needs. So your metabolism is working very inefficiently. I don't like to say that it's not working. It's just working inefficiently, okay? You can improve the quality of your metabolism simply by starting to eat more. That's the thermic effect of food. Now, the opposite is true. If you started piling on the food and eating more calories or more energy, calories equals energy. So when you hear me say energy, calories, same thing, okay? So if you start consuming more energy, more calories, than your body actually needs to sustain life, then your same thing happens. It's the opposite effect. If your metabolism could talk, it would say, oh my goodness, if I continue if she continues to consume food at this rate and I burn calories at the same level of I'm burning calories, then I'm going to get excess body fat, and that's going to make me unhealthy and put me at a risk of dying. This is exactly how your body works. It's born to live. So it fights back. And it fights back by increasing your metabolism. Says, so I got to start burning more calories to try to make up for all of these calories, that this energy that this person's putting into my body, right? And so that's what happens. So eating actually impacts your metabolism, your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. It's one of the biggest things that impacts your basal metabolic rate, and it's why you need to eat often. That is the science behind it. So there are a few reasons that you need to eat often. One is the thermic effect of food, just exactly what I explained to you. It dictates how efficiently your metabolism is working or how inefficiently your metabolism is working. And your cells have memory, okay? So if you're eating every 2 to 3 hours and you're doing this consistently on a daily basis, your metabolism gets happy about that. And it starts to recognize, hey, she's going to eat, I'm going to burn off what I need, store what I don't, and then she's going to eat again, same thing. And so your body gets used to this, and so it works as efficiently as it possibly can to burn off any excess calories. I hope that makes sense. So that thermic effect of food is huge when it comes to eating often, and a big reason why you should eat often. And then, of course, another reason that you should eat often is to balance out your insulin. So there's a lot of research out there right now because there's so many people that are struggling with type 2 diabetes and being insulin resistant. And it's simply because of our diets. It's simply because of how we eat. A lot of us are going all day without eating, so our insulin is dropping, and then we're eating one huge meal and it's spiking up and then crashing down, and it's causing this this new disease, insulin resistance. And it just makes it very, very difficult, virtually impossible to maintain a healthy weight, or especially to lose weight if you're eating like that. Okay, so you've got to eat often. All right, so the first thing we talked about is your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. You need to know how many calories you are burning in a day, how much energy your body requires every day to sustain life. And then you're going to have to adjust accordingly. Now, you'll see the FDA says, we should eat, 2,000 calories a day. Now, they're assuming that you're a healthy weight, you're active, and eating 2,000 calories a day could be okay for a person who's trying to maintain weight. But if your BMR is 2,000 calories a day and you need to lose weight, then you need to be at a deficit. You need to consume less than 2,000 calories. So you're going to need to meet with the coach and determine what that caloric intake should be. And then you're going to balance that out between 5 meals a day. So eating every 2 to 3 hours is second on the list. BMR first. Eating every 2 to 3 hours is second on the list. And that's because of the thermic effect of food. It's because to balance out your insulin level. And then thirdly, if you eat often, you're going to be less hungry. You are not going to get to a point to where you're famished and dying for food and gorge or overeat more than you should. If you consistently eat every 2 to 3 hours throughout the day, it's going to keep you a lot more satisfied. Okay? All right. And the third factor, which I believe is very important, and not as important, but very important, is balance. Okay? You have to have balance. Again, we talk about I know it's so difficult to live a healthy lifestyle because there's so much information out there. And some of it contradicts each other. I find that in my research when I'm teaching my classes each week, I go and I reevaluate things that I believe that I know and I want to confirm something. And then I find all of this conflicting information. And even for me as a healthy lifestyle coach and someone who has been teaching nutrition for over 20 years, it's conflicting and it's confusing and it's frustrating. And I'm like, how is anyone really supposed to understand all this and what is the truth? So you really got to make sure you have a coach that can help you and give you the right information. And that balance, though, I fully believe is so important. It's about permanent results. It's about behavior. It's about doing something that you can do for the rest of your life. So when I say, there's so much conflicting information out there, well, there are a lot of diet programs that are available if you just want to lose weight. If just losing weight is your goal, I can help you lose 15 pounds in a month. I mean, there are tons of things there are programs out there where some people could lose 15 pounds in 2 weeks. And that seems impressive. And it seems awesome because we want it to be that simple. We want it to be that easy because it's so hard to practice the discipline when it comes to behavior change in our eating patterns. But guys, those quick fixes don't work long term. We're talking long term. We're talking behavior. We're talking lose the weight and keep it off. Keep it off for 2 or more years. That's what's considered to be successful in losing weight. Keeping it off. That's the key. And the key to that is balance. To think, and I know, again, there's exceptions to the rule. There's always exceptions to the rule. But for me, I'll just use my own self as an example. I've lost 70 pounds. And for me to think that I could go for the rest of my life without ever eating sugar is completely unrealistic. Now, I know sugar's bad for me. I'm not going to deny that. I'm going to have experts on this show, and we're going to talk about, how bad sugar really is for us. And I understand it. I know that it's not something that I should eat every day, all day long. And I try to manage that, and I do a good job of that. And I've been able to balance that out so that I can have things that I want sometimes and still maintain good health. And good health is not just what the scale says. Good health is overall well-rounded good health, good numbers, not being sick, sleeping well, energy that lasts all day long, healthy weight, all of that, peace, joy, right? All of that is wrapped up into living a healthy lifestyle. So you've got to have balance. It's absurd for the average person to say, you know what, I'm going to go on this diet that's not ever going to allow me to have sugar for the rest of my life. Never going to have sugar. Maybe some people can. Again, there's exceptions to the rule, but that's not the average person. The average person can't do that. Again, to say that you're only going to eat a certain type of food for the rest of your life. I'm just going to eat fruits, vegetables, and fish. Now, we know that Mediterranean diet is healthy. We know that for sure. It's all natural. It's great. We also know that what you eat, you can heal your body. Your body is designed to live, so it will naturally heal itself if you put the right nutrition in there. People are proving that every day. I have a friend right now who is moving herself into remission from cancer because of what she's consuming, what she's putting into her body. It happens every day. So we know food is important, but we're talking long term for the average person. You have to balance it out, which means you have to have all kinds of different foods. You're going to have a piece of bread sometime. You're going to have a piece of cake sometime, but it's about balancing it out with your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, how many calories you're burning in a day. eating often, and giving yourself some things that you like every now and then. And those are the three factors that I believe are very important when it comes to eating behaviors and helping you live a healthy lifestyle. All right, guys, I've had so much fun with you. Email me, kim@ivedecided.org, and I'll look forward to being with you again next Wednesday.
PeoriaLife.com